Welcome to The Real in Real Estate, your gateway to the source. I'm so glad you're here. We're all about diving into the nitty gritty of real estate, sharing insights, tips, and some awesome interviews straight from the industry's beating heart. From the latest trends to cool investment strategies, we've got you covered. Let's explore and uncover all the essential tools and knowledge you need for navigating the ever evolving world of property and housing. Here we go. Welcome to The Real in Real Estate, where we talk to the experts about the facts and dispel the myths. And today we're here with Kari Joe Woodling, who is an expert trainer from NRL Mortgage. And I've been in her classes. She provides lots of different topics of training in lots of different places around the city. So welcome, Kari. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you, Jean, for having me. Such a pleasure to be here with you this morning.
Thank you very much. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up doing this, and then we'll get on to our topic.
Okay, I would be happy to. So I got in the industry, and I'm going to say industry, the real estate industry. 10 years ago, I was hired on by a title company, and I had no title experience, no sales experience, really didn't know what I was doing. But they are the ones responsible for creating and molding me and teaching me what I do in the business today. And as a business development, sales, marketing person, you typically have that outgoing, extroverted personality, and that I had going for me. But they had to teach me what I was doing, what title was marketing was. And so I give them all the credit for the monster they've created today. But I was with title for about 6 years. And then 4 years ago, I moved over to the mortgage side of the real estate industry as business development for Stephen Curtis. And Stephen Curtis is the Chief Production Officer at NRL Mortgage. Okay. And I am business development, and really, Jean, all I do is I meet real estate agents and connect them with our loan officers, and those loan officers build that relationship with the agents, and then they do business moving forward. So there's different ways, obviously, that I get in front of real estate agents, and I have learned that if I'm studying and if I'm researching the real estate agent's business, and learn their side of it, whether it's marketing or business planning and goal setting, then I can teach on those subjects. And that is pouring education and value into the agent. And then that's kind of where I hook, line, and sinker them, and then build that relationship and turn them over to the loan officers. So that's really what I do. I'm a people connector.
Well, you do a wonderful job at it. Wonderful job. And I really appreciate you coming on here.
Thanks.
Today, you have many different subjects you teach. I've been to a few of your classes, but what we're going to talk about today is the 5 touches, which I think is very important to every agent or anyone in sales, to be perfectly honest. So why don't you just give us a brief overview of how you define the 5 touches?
Okay, so our business is a numbers game. Yes, it's a relationship business and a customer service business, but it is a numbers game. It's, if I'm getting in front of 25 people, the only reason I'm getting in 25 people in front of 25 people is because I touched more people than maybe my neighbor, right? And what I mean by a touch can be a text message. I talk about in my classes, adopt the time blocking of Touch-Base Tuesday, where you block out an hour every Tuesday morning and you're touching 5 to 10 people, whether that's an email, a text message, a phone call. Also, when I sit down with real estate agents and do their marketing and business plan, I talk about social media. So social media can be a touch. But the agent goes, oh, okay, well, if I only have to touch 5 people a day and I've got 5,000 friends on social media, then I'm done for the year. No.
No, that's not the way it works.
That's not how it works. Social media is one touch. Now, a post is a touch, or maybe a comment on somebody else's post. That's one touch. But like I said, it takes it's a numbers game, and it takes about 5 to 11 times for me to touch you, Jean, to reach out to you. You said you've been to a couple of my classes. So you've seen me, you've sat in my classes, we've been around each other 5 to 9 times possibly. And then I got the invitation to join you on your podcast. So numbers don't lie.
Right.
And so touches are, I think in the class that you attended most recently, I was talking about circle marketing. And
Yes.
when you have a new listing, circle market, and we talked about touches. Postcards is a touch. Sign in the yard is a touch. An open house is a touch. So those are just a creative way of getting out and reaching the person that you're wanting to really connect with.
Mhm. Well, one of my questions was going to ask you, what do you mean by a touch? But I think you just kind of touched on that, didn't you?
I did just touch on that. How funny.
One of the people that I follow is a lady named Marky Lemons Rao, which a lot of you may have already heard or seen. One thing she talks about is her, instead of 5 touches, which I kind of like the 5 number better, but she talks about 8 by 8. And she tells her people to touch. She's all about digital and AI. So, for instance, go on Facebook or Instagram or whatever and direct message someone
Mm-hmm.
8 people before 8 a.m. and then you're done for that day. Not that you don't need to get out there and talk to people and touch them in other ways, but from an AI or social standpoint, direct message them. Don't just hit the like button. Don't just, hit the little heart or whatever happens to be, but actually message them directly. So I think that's another form of the touch as well. She just likes the 8 by 8 because it's catchy.
Yes, I love that. And, go back to the numbers part of it. So if she suggests 8 by 8, a person will probably do 50% of that. So then you're at your 4,
Well, there you go.
4 or 5. So we have a loan officer, speaking of direct messaging, we have a loan officer that is brand new, super hungry, and she will do exactly what you just explained. If somebody likes her video or comments on her video, she goes straight over, directs message them, friends them, starts that relationship, and then reaches out and asks them for coffee or lunch. So
Perfect.
it's, yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
You brought up something. It's amazing that people can be hungry for work because we're all hungry. That's how it ends up feeding us. But they are not willing to put in the time or the effort. So, like you said, you might say 8 by 8, but maybe they'll do 4. I think psychologically, I like your number 5 better. But even if it was an 8 by 8 and you did 5 every single day consistently, I think you're going to get results.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we know statistically and numbers wise that when we touch 25 people, we will get 1 appointment. And then 4 appointments is 1 transaction. So, maybe 5 is your goal for the day, but why not shoot for 25, right?
Absolutely.
Maybe.
And the key, I think, is being consistent, correct? Do you agree?
Correct. Time blocking is huge. And if you do not
Yes.
have your touch time on your calendar, it most likely will not get done.
Yes. Yeah. Forming habits and routines is so important in our business, in my opinion. If you sit down with your iPhone or your computer or whatever, and you make those touches while you're having coffee or while you're,
Yeah.
right after you get your makeup on and you're getting ready to leave the house, it doesn't take that long to do it, but it can result in such wonderful results.
Yep. So we have a business plan Excel spreadsheet that's formatted and formulated and does all the calculations. And I will sit with an agent and they'll tell me, well, I want to make $120,000 next year. Well, we plug in some numbers, their average sales price, are they buyer heavy? Are they listing heavy? What's your split? All of that, those few numbers. And it will tell them in order to make $120,000 next year, how many touches they need to make a day. And so one thing I tell them, you have to make 5 touches a day to make 120,000 next year. Put 5 business cards in your purse or your pocket and don't go home until they're gone.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. talk to the person in the HEB line with the little baby with blue eyes, or hand them out to Chick-fil-A. You can get rid of them, 3 of them at Chick-fil-A.
Yes, yes. Now, one thing I did want to comment on that, though, it's important to do that. I mean, that's why we have business cards, even if you do the digital, which I kind of like the paper better, because once you go in my phone, then I got to try and figure out how to find you again. Where if I
Right.
put it in my phone, kinetic energy. But you've got to not just hand out your card randomly. You've got to make a connection when you're talking and hopefully get their contact information. So when you get back to your computer or you have a minute or it's the next day and you're making those 5 touches, you can actually touch them. You can actually
Correct.
comment or connect with them. Say, remember
Correct.
me? I met you in line at the grocery store. It was a pleasure meeting you, blah, blah, whatever. Have coffee.
So I'm a super big advocate of a book called 7 Levels of Communication. And it is a book written for a real estate agent. And the author shares and teaches and explains how important what you mentioned earlier as far as consistency, how important consistency and persistency is. He has a restaurant that he conducts all of his meetings in. Same restaurant every day. So the staff knows him and it saves him on travel time too. So he's hitting 2 birds with 1 stone because he's building relationship with the staff consistently. And when they're ready to buy or sell, that's who they will reach out to. But then he will schedule a meeting at 10 a.m., another one at 12 noon, or another one at 2 o'clock. And even the patrons, because it's a coffee shop restaurant, so all of us addicted to coffee go to the
Yes,
same restaurant and coffee shop all the time. So
yes.
even the patrons coming and going are going to see him there and wonder what he's doing, and they end up building a relationship. But one big thing he talks about in that book is the community of people that just, for example, you and I know. Jean, you probably know at least 150 people or in your community. I
Yeah.
probably know at least 150. Well, together, that's, do the math. That's 22,500. Well, then he goes on and talks about the turnover rate. So, what's a turnover rate every 5 to 7 years? So read the book, but numbers, the reason he goes into all of the detail is because he's trying to teach you how many people you do have in your community that you could be building those relationships with that turn into 9,000 transactions a year,
Yeah.
possibility of with the
Right.
numbers. But it's a super good book and just really pushes the consistency of touching people.
Well, I'm going to take a moment to do a shameless promotion here, but I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm going to add that book to my list. I just wrote a book and it's being published on Amazon as we speak. It's called Top Producers Steps to Success. And I interview 20 top producers and they tell me how they got started, what they suggest you do, what they suggest you don't do, etc. So it's a real good reference book. And that's how I got my business started. When I first got started in the business, I sat down at my desk for the first time and I said, oh my God, what do I do now? And so I started talking to the top producers in the office to find out how they got started. And so that I have put into a book. But the very first person I interviewed as a new agent and the very first person I interviewed for this book is a gentleman that says exactly what you just said. He was new to town. He went to the same breakfast place every single day. He started meeting people. People would talk to him. It's like, you're here every day. What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And that's how he started his business. And I've
Yep.
gotten so many deals by going to the same Starbucks every morning and having my coffee and talking to people. So consistency. I'm so glad you brought that up. So glad you brought that up. Yeah, I think it's so important.
Yes. And then think of this, and I've never read this, but this is just me thinking maybe outside the box, is so maybe 6 months you visit the exact same coffee shop and maybe you're there from 8 to noon. Well, why don't we, to expand our community, hit another coffee shop for the next 6 months from noon to 4, right? I
Well,
just
you
happen to
could
think that.
absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. And if you don't drink coffee, I mean, whatever works for you. It doesn't have to be a coffee shop, but whatever you do, it needs to be the same thing every day.
absolutely. And that's another thing that we talk about in the business plan and marketing plan is it's so important to have a business plan and to know
Yes.
what those touches are going to be in your plan, but revisit it every 3 months to make sure what you are doing and the time and money you're putting into a certain activity is giving you that return on your investment. And that just brings up a new book that I just started reading last week. It's called The 12-Week Year.
The 12-week
Uh,
year. Interesting.
12
What's that about?
So that's about condensing. So we do our business plan and marketing plan for 2025, right? 12 months of
Yes.
it. Well, that gives us a lot of time to procrastinate. 12 months
Yeah,
does,
yes, it does.
right? And so it's educating you to break your year down into 12 weeks because there's a urgency then in a 12-week year and then your second 12-week year. So it breaks it up into quarters. But I'm not that far into it, but it makes sense to me. So
Well,
that's another good.
I have to have you back on after you read the book and we can talk
Okay.
about that.
Okay. Okay, good.
Okay.
But I mean, I would just like to reiterate and just kind of wrap up with this is a numbers game. And the
Yes.
more people you talk to, the more transactions you're going to get. Simple as that. And you have to, and that's tough for some people and some personalities, but I'm a true believer of you have to really care about those people
Yes.
sincerely.
Because they'll know if you don't.
Exactly. Yep. Care enough to really ask them how their day is going to start off a conversation or to tell them their little girl's blue eyes are so beautiful, anything, but it has to be sincere and come from the heart in order to strike the beginning of a relationship. So,
I am actually very much an introvert and I have had to force myself to learn how to talk to people. So if you're listening to this and you go, oh, I don't know if I can do that. Yes, you can. You just have to do it one step at a time. And for me, the key is talking to them about themselves.
yep.
They don't really necessarily want to hear a stranger's whole life's history, but they're willing to talk to the stranger about their life history. And that made it much easier for me to get started. So if that helps anybody, great. Hope
Yes. Yeah.
so.
Care enough to learn about them,
Absolutely.
not about, they don't want to hear about you. You
No,
care enough to learn about them. So, great
listen,
point.
listen. If they go, oh, my husband's birthday's next week, then next week you send a little, I hope he had a great birthday.
Yep. Yep.
Follow up. Follow up's key too. Consistency and follow up. Do you agree?
100%. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's
Yeah.
fabulous. I love
Right.
that.
And more people are more apt to give to you once they've been given to.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. Very good. Very good.
Good.
Okay. So, Kari, we are
Yes.
going to have your contact information on the podcast, but
Okay.
before I forget, I want you to go ahead and tell people if they would like to talk to you or find out what classes you're doing next, or get to know more about, NRL Mortgage, whatever. How would they best contact you?
So my direct cell phone number is 281-229-1843. And you can also email me at k.woodling, my last name, WOODLING, at nrlmortgage.com.
Great.
And I would love to talk to you. I would love to start a relationship. And that's what I love about my job. Every day I get to meet new people, and a lot of those people become friends, not just business partners.
And that is another great thing about being a real estate agent. I've made so many good friends from this. So let people know you care. Okay,
That's right.
any last words of wisdom that you'd like to throw out about the subject of 5 touches before we sign off?
Like we've talked about, consistency, persistency, time blocking, business plan, marketing plan. If you don't have a plan of those touches, very likely you're not going to get to where you want to go.
Exactly. It's like going on a vacation. You know where you want to go, but you better figure out how to get there too.
Yep. Yep.
Well,
Exactly.
if call Kari or email her, find out about her classes, or if you just want to meet her one-on-one, I know she's willing to do that and talk to you about anything that you need help with.
Absolutely. We've got, I would love that friendship and relationship with you, but I can also connect you with our amazing NRL mortgage loan officers help you in your business, and let's close some deals.
Yes, and I'm sure she'll find the one that'll work best with you.
Absolutely. That's my job.
Thank you so much for doing this. I really
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Jean. Like I said, it's a pleasure and a blessing to be here with you today, and we will talk again soon.
Yes, we'll figure out a way to get you back on here at a different subject.
Okay. Thank
Thanks,
you.
thanks, Kari. Thanks for tuning in to The Real in Real Estate, your gateway to the source. Be sure not to miss our upcoming episodes loaded with fantastic insights, expert tips, and all the latest trends in the property scene. Don't forget to stay connected with us on our Trilogy Realty Group socials: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and even TikTok. Until next time, take care.